Okay, so getting started with CA here. I take my half sheet of Aviva paper towel. These tear really nice if you tear in the right direction. And I tear off about dollar bill sized pieces. And then I tear them in half. They don't tear in half quite as easily. Make quite a few of those. I'm going to go through a lot of them. And we'll go ahead and show you how we fold them. I always fold 3 times. Fold less than 3 times and you'll know why I fold 3 times. You can fold 4. I think it makes it too thick. Take your medium CA. Take your medium CA that will open. And I put 2 drops right on that outer corner. Just like that. Right on that far corner. And I let it soak in just a bit for covering this ink up. Blot, 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 blot. Blow the bubbles off it. That's all there is to it. Be careful with these little pieces. As they dry, they get hot. I've never had one catch on fire, but they sure do act like they're gonna. Take your activator from about, 8 inches away. That's all it takes. If you come in here and do that, it will turn that CA white that quick. Ruin your finish. You don't want to get the caul wet with activator. You want to just puff it, create a cloud around it. Very, very important. A lot of activators, see how that just comes out as a cloud. A lot of activators kind of spit. They sprinkle droplets, tiny droplets that'll hit the surface of that. Each one of those droplets will cause a white spot or even pitting and bubbling in that CA finish. And you might as well sand it off at that point. So that's all we got to do to have the name to where it's good. So at this point, I'm ready to start CA finishing this caul. So I run at about sanding speed. This is a Jet 1220 variable speed. I've got it on the second highest belt setting, the second speediest setting, and I have the variable speed dialed all the way down on that belt setting. So it's not slow by any means. This lathe will go much, much slower, but I find that kind of just a little slower in this turning speed, maybe a fast sanding speed is a good CA speed. Once again, 2 drops. And at this point, you want to get them on as quick as you can, and that's it. I'm on there for about a second, maybe a second and a half. You do not want to stay on longer than that. A couple quick quarter-second puffs of activator. The whole idea is you don't want to just really lay into that thing and push it on there. You're not. It's not like using a magic marker. You're putting that droplet on the towel and allowing that, just barely putting any pressure on there at all and allowing that CA to flow off the towel as opposed to squeezing it out of the towel. As you can see, I kind of made myself a long applicator here, and I'm going to wet the edge with CA, a couple drops, and that'll get me in that band groove. Pull it up and around. Or not band groove, the lanyard groove. A couple puffs. And we're going to do 3 folds again. And I'm going to come around to the front of the caul. Now I use a little bit less here, because if you use too much, it's going to just come at your fingers. And I'm doing the mouthpiece. You've got to pay a little special attention and apply a little more on these sharp edges here, 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 places where your sandpaper is going to roll over when you're wet sanding. You got to give a little more thickness to that CA there, because you're going to be wet sanding a lot of the thickness of what we're going to lay down here. We're going to sand that off. So it's important to build those critical spots up. Out here in the middle of the caul, you got to get several good coats, but it's not a real high friction point for your sandpaper. So I'm not going to bore everybody with how many coats I actually do here. but there's going to be anywhere from 10 to I've occasionally will go 20 or so coats. It just kind of depends on how thick I want that finish when all's said and done. Where the band is going to go, I obviously will be cutting some grooves in here. I use JB Weld to attach my band, so I'll cut some grooves in here, some corresponding grooves in the band itself. But I don't CA finish this. I do finish the top of the shoulder of the call. I'll flip it around when I'm all done here. As far as getting into the call to CA, I don't CA all the way through mine. I go a little ways up into them just for looks. Wooden Q-tip. The wooden ones are awesome because the cotton on them is much tighter wound than on the normal Q-tips you find. You can get these at medical supply stores. I buy mine on Amazon.com. They're pretty cheap. Just saturating the end of it very quickly. Get in here, kind of as I roll it around and just pull it towards me, and then I just wipe off any squeeze off with my finger, which is probably a real bad idea, but a towel, by the time you get a towel in there, it's too late. Puff it activator, and that's generally how I do this. So I'm going to go and lay a ton more coats on this thing, and when I come back to you, we'll get into the wet sanding. I thought it bears mentioning, I alluded to it briefly, but the time you spend with this couple drops of CA on the call, don't try and stretch that. If your call is longer than mine, if it's a goose call, if your duck calls are longer, you are looking at a lot more surface area for that couple of drops to cover. Whether you put 6 drops on your towel or if you put 2 drops, it's going to dry in the same amount of time. So don't waste the 6 drops. Do 2 drops, go a little ways. I'll demonstrate, and it's pretty frequent. Here's about 2 drops, and I'm just starting halfway up the call and coming around. As I lay this CA down, I'm creating lines in the call. Let me zoom in and see if we can. I don't know that you'll be able to see those. Yeah, you can see them maybe a little bit in the reflection. There's lines that you're probably being able to pick up right there. It's okay. You're going to sand all that out. So don't worry about how it looks as it goes on. The quality of the finish is determined much more by the quality of the sanding job you do than it is by how you lay the CA on. I mean, if you have bubbles or chunks or thick spots or things like that, things you can feel with your finger, obviously you need to go in and correct those, which, newbies it's going to happen. Your first couple ones of these, you're going to get it on too thick, you're going to stay in one spot too long. You have to keep that towel moving. You have to get off before a second and a half or so, or that CA starts to cure, and then you're rubbing a hardening product that's getting tacky on what you want to end up clear, and that will not end up clear. So I wanted to show you, I've just finished applying all my CA. I made an intentional mistake by putting on a whole lot of CA on a Q-tip, which as the call's spinning, it allows that stuff to splay out. It kind of comes out in every single direction. And you can barely pick it up, but there's some very noticeable bumps or blobs of CA here, all the way around the periphery of the call there. So normal thing to happen. If you're not real careful, that will happen, and we'll deal with it. So I just wanted to kind of show you that. You can also see, you can probably pick up in the reflection all these lines that go around the call, which are just kind of the application lines. They're tiny little ridges, some thick spots, wavy spots. All that will get corrected. So many guys focus so hard on making a CA finish beautiful when they apply it, and you don't have to.